I'm very clear. I want to add to the stability at a time when the world economy is already under stress.
Sometimes you make it difficult, in the use of dollars. So we have some trade partners with whom trade in dollars becomes difficult because of your policies.
Environmental and international economists from Russia. In some of your recent interviews, you said that India has never supported the dollarization. Could you elaborate a little bit on this? Because the dollarization have many different meanings, and maybe like creation of new artificial currency, like within BRICS, or there may be promotion of some alternative payment systems internationally, or there may be promotion of payments in national currencies. So what is Indian position on this?
On de-dollarization, look, this is not an ideological issue, it's not a national prestige issue, it's a very practical economic issue. There are many countries today who are having problems trading because they don't have access to hard currency. There are also concerns about the stability of the international economic order, and this international economic order, the most influential currency is obviously the dollar. So we have to ask ourselves a very sensible question. Do you want to add to the stability or you want to add to the instability in the world? So I'm very clear, I want to add to the stability at a time when the world economy is already under stress. So I don't see this, we have never seen this as a political issue. We have no political agenda against the dollar. I see this as a stabilization issue for the global economy. On the question from our Kenyan colleague about the Africa Summit, yes.
Another element of China's role in the world, of course, is the discussions that play out between the US, China, the European Union, EU, BRICS countries around international economics. And this brings me to ask you a little bit about de-dollarization as a possibility for the world. At times, India has expressed interest in an alternative currency that can serve as a reserve mechanism. And I wonder how you see that right now, what you see as the role of the dollar and these discussions about international economic policy.
No, I think you have us confused for someone else here because we have never actively targeted the dollar. That's not part of either our economic policy or our political or our strategic policy. Some others may have. Okay. What I will tell you is a natural concern we have. Okay. We often have trade partners who do not have dollars to trade. Mm-hmm. Okay. So we now have to look at whether we forego dealings with them or do we find some settlement which works otherwise. So there's no I can say malicious intent vis-a-vis the dollar in doing this. We're trying to do our business. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you make it difficult, in the use of dollars. So we have some trade partners with whom trade in dollars becomes difficult because of your policies. So we have to obviously look for workarounds. But for us, again, look, as we spoke about rebalancing, we spoke about multipolarity, obviously all of this is also going to reflect on currencies and economic dealings. So it is the era of American dominance is also an era of dollar dominance, an era of a certain hedging and a certain spread. Other factors will come into play. I mean, that it will be more competitive, even in currencies. So, but I won't take it quite, at least vis-a-vis us, the way.
I understand. I wanted to give you the chance to address. And by the way, when you say you, I know you mean you, the United States, not you, Carnegie, to be clear. We have limited control over international economic policy so far, at least. But staying with that theme, the Modi government now has had 100 days or so since sort of the next period, an election, and wonder how you see its emerging economic priorities and where you think progress is most likely and where you think the challenges are.
Well, there's a lot that has happened in these 100 days, partly because we had planned for it. But if I were to pick three issues which would be, I think, of interest to everybody else, it would be we have cleared an initiative to create 12 major industrial nodes across the country, with the idea that there are zones which are prepared to attract domestic and global manufacturing, which is a way underlines our determination to become stronger in the era of manufacturing, and also to contribute more to global supply chains. Associated with it, but in addition, also a whole series of new infrastructure projects, new ports, new railways, new roads. Many of them conduct, sort of complementary to these nodes, which will again make it easier to do business, easier for living. So it's part of overall development, but it would certainly enhance our competitiveness in the international economy. And the third, which I come back to you again, the people. In fact, in our system, when you present your budget, you have something as the equivalent of the State of the Union along with it. The finance minister reads, she lays out what are the policies of the government. And if you look at this year's budget, which was presented after the election, the focus was very heavily on upgrading human resources. How do you, create more skilling institutions? How do you make people more employable in a way? So if you have a better plug-and-play manufacturing possibility, improved, enhanced infrastructure, larger volumes of human resources to deal with, I think collectively that would be a direction we are going. And I mean, there's a lot to do, because look, in the last 10 years, for example, in education, we would have pretty much in higher education doubled the number of educational institutions. I mean, in the last 10 years, on average, we were actually creating 2 new colleges a day. But it's not enough. So, because partly the scale of our challenge, partly because, we had not addressed it as effectively as we should have in the past. So, we want, to make ourselves much more relevant to global supply chains. I mean, that is for us a very big objective. And say in the digital era, add to it, we want to also enter that as a much more, as a trusted player who has the ability to collaborate with other countries. So we are in the middle of a nationwide 5G rollout. But an Indian 5G stack, for example, we think has an international appeal and potential, which we need to exploit. So I would pick this among the 100 days as a set of policies which would be of interest, I think, to the audience.